Hi guys, so since a long time I wanted to make this like tutorial thingy for After Effects, explaining a bit about the tracking and what you can do if you know you're going to track the footage. And I don't want to go in like big filmic preparations or anything, it's just small things you can do to make your life easier afterwards. The obvious thing is probably you're going to do this anyway, but get your best camera. That's kind of self-explanatory, but you want the image quality to be as good as it can be, because that helps like so much in making an accurate track. The second one is do not use a phone, or if you can, use a DSLR or any kind of camera. You can track a phone's footage, but phones use all sorts of trickery to enhance the image. So yeah, sometimes it gets very noisy and stuff, and it's not always giving you the best result. I haven't tested all phone cameras, of course. Maybe you can do it with your phone, but it's probably easier and better if you just use a proper camera. You want to have the quickest shutter speed you can possibly can, so you reduce the motion blur as much as you can. The fourth point doesn't apply like most of the time, but still can be useful. If you place something that's easily trackable on the screen, that helps so much, but can be a pain in the ass to erase from the final image, so be careful with that. So the fifth point, and probably the most important, is mostly applies for 3D tracking, but I'm going to tell you like even now because it can help a lot, even at 2D tracks. So try to look for flat details, flat surfaces. Never try to track things that shift with the perspective, or things that are not true 3D points, that are just the meeting points of two objects, or things that shift with the perspective are generally considered bad. Try to look for something flat and something that doesn't change as much with the perspective. And there's a sixth tip. If it's too late for you, if your image is really noisy, the other trick you can do is simply remove the blue channel from your image, because the blue channel considered the most noisy channel. So if you remove the blue channel, you remove the most noisy channel. I think that's all that quickly came to my mind. There are a lot of tricks and stuff you can use, but these 6 are things I could remember right now. So I have my footage and time to track it. You go to the tracker. If you don't have the tracker, you can enable it in the window roll down menu, or you can reset the interface and it will appear, hopefully, if they haven't changed that. So the default tracker is really not something that's too like complicated, except when After Effects doesn't load the thing. So you essentially want to look for some flat detail that's easily distinguishable. I placed this marker here just to show you how much easier it is. I mean, this image is easier by itself, hopefully. So you try to look for something that doesn't change much. Okay, so little bit of explanation in this. The small rectangle is the pattern that After Effects will look for, and the big rectangle is the area that it looks for the small pattern. So this is essentially what I looking for in this area. So the bigger this area is, the slower the tracking. But if the camera moves too much, this point might be like here on the next frame, so this area won't pick it up, so I have to like increase it like this. So this tracking should be like piece of cake, right? I try to not like make too stable movements, or not make it like too clean, so we have some challenge in tracking the stuff. So the problem with a noisy image is the noise will change the pattern every single frame, so the solver has much harder time figuring out which pattern is which, and it usually just bounces around and doesn't give you a nice result. This looks pretty decent. Let's make a null object, test, and edit the target to the null object and apply the motion. And let's see what we got. So actually it looks super horrible. What the fuck? What? Did I like misplace the keyframes? What the fuck? It looks so accurate. This is weird because the tracking point looks much more accurate than the null object. It seems like the frame rate is different or something. Yes, see? What the fuck? I never encountered this problem before. I had 29.9 frames and 997 frames, and it threw off my tracker so badly. Wow. So yeah, always conform your video frame rate to your composition frame rate. I'm so glad this came up, because this is one more thing I can show you. So let's see how accurate it is. As you can see, it's pretty decent actually. Like, of course it's not following the perspective because it's just a 2D track, but still it's very decent in my opinion. Just for comparison, this video was made with my phone's camera, and you can see that it's not, I mean, you probably can't see because of YouTube's encoding, but if you zoom out on the image and disable the GoPro text, it doesn't seem like, how to say this? This image is noisy, but this image has like this weird pattern on it, which like all phones do, and I still can't explain why this happens, but it's so annoying because it makes your videos look weird. Anyway, I just wanted to show this to you. You know what, if we are already here, I can try to track this image as well. To be honest, I would even accept this. Like, it's sliding and deviating a little, but it's nothing too bad. Anyway, let's go back to the actual footage. Yeah, so the last thing I wanted to show you is this red arrow, how much easier it is to track this, because that's why I kind of placed it here. So, track motion, you have another track point. Simply hover your track point, include the arrow. The arrow is nicer because it has like a direction. It's not a circle, and the circle is it's just much easier to see the shape. And just look at the beauty track, it doesn't deviate at all. Even with this crazy motion blur, I'm even surprised. What the okay, it moved. maybe if I include the whole ring. So yeah, another trick you can do is light your scene even better than I did, because as you can see, his lighting is simply not enough. It's kind of, the tracking point slid away because of the motion blur. The motion blur kind of throws it around a bit, because I couldn't use smaller shutter speed. Of course, if you have a cross, you can always place the tracking point in the middle, so yeah. But I'm satisfied with it. I could have placed this on the like on the tip of the arrow, so it's even easier. But this is like more than enough for a 2D track. So there you have it. There is your nicely tracked image. So obviously this was a fairly easy example, but especially because I was preparing for the tracking. It gets harder if you don't think before you shoot your video. So it can get like a more pain in the ass. Sometimes it can get impossible, because if the image is too noisy, it's over. Not much you can do. But yeah, if you use these tricks, you can get away like 95% of the time without having to place the marker frame by frame, because you're lazy as